Welcome to the Verdin Verdict. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Today we have a pretty somber show because Saturday did not go how we expected at all. I thought LSU was going to be able to put up a pretty good fight. I thought that Brian Kelly had some things in store. You saw him in good spirits on our channel, in our press conferences, and in our interactions. And I thought he was going to be able to, do something and have that transpire on the field. I thought maybe he knew something we didn't, and we were in for a treat. But, sadly, there was a little bit of a lack of execution, I believe. I think that LSU football, your time get it done. We got guys hurt, yeah, but we need to step up at the end of the day. You can only make excuse on injuries so far, or so far into the season. You're playing SEC football, guys are gonna go down. Next man up has to happen. With the offensive line, you saw that unfortunate injury that happened Friday. I mean, it's really sad, and prayers to Will Campbell. Hopefully, everything's going well and everything's all right. Brian Kelly came out and said it's not life threatening, but some things happened and prevented Will Campbell from being able to play on Saturday, and that was a big loss for the offensive line. On top of that, you got Garrett Dellinger returning from a hand surgery. He's playing with the cast. So on top of that, there's already some not necessarily nerves, but it's just new, not used to that type of interaction on the field. So maybe that played a role in the Garrett Dellinger in the beginning, and then sadly he went down with the knee injury towards the mid to later part of the game. Running backs though weren't used that much at all. 12 rushing attempts for a total of 17 yards. I'm not too sure if that's because the offensive line, like I said, was compromised, and Tennessee has a pretty good defensive line. Attempts on his own, which is four more than the other three running backs combined. Some of those were QB designs, and some of those were just because the offensive line wasn't able to keep him, up and protected. Hoping he's going to be all right and stand back up, but Jaden Daniels, his longest rush was 17 yards, which exactly ties him with the run. I don't know if these guys aren't if they're just not feeling comfortable in the moment, or if it's the play calling. It's hard to tell. My guess is it's the play calling. They need to get active, and they need to find a way to get these guys cohesive. This offensive line needs to, patch up these holes, and hopefully that LSU is going to be able to fix this. It's a good offense, and we're supposed to bring them down a couple notches as a great defense, and we weren't able to do that. We weren't able to capitalize. We weren't able to get the takeaways we need. When the offense isn't answering back, the defense can only do so much. They put some pressure on him at times. They hit Hendon Hooker pretty hard a couple times too. I was even wondering if he was going to get back up and get back in the game. But all in all, the offense just wasn't able, like we've seen multiple times this year, just wasn't able to hold their end. And quite frankly, the defense didn't do that great in the DB depth. Yeah, we got some miscommunication, or maybe it was just a mismatch, or there was some type of break in coverage. But he caught the flack on a pretty bad play. But these guys they're tough, they're resilient, they're gonna learn from moments like this. You have to learn through failure. You just have to accept it. You have to bite the bullet, and you have to just move on and go forward. I think Matt House is gonna put them in a pretty good situation. They're pretty good at adjusting. They've been a very good second half team, so that shows that adjustments and leadership can install things into that team. They just kind of need to get the right message in there, and they need to keep going down the right path. I'm hoping that this offensive line can continue to get healthier. They can continue to get more cohesive. They can continue to build that chemistry. If this offensive line can protect this quarterback a lot better, and allow for holes to open up, I could see a lot of good things happening for LSU. Y'all go ahead and leave any questions in the chat or any comments y'all'd like to make. I'd love to read them, and then add some, much needed input on this topic of discussion, or LSU's offense. I mean, it's hard to put your finger on it. A lot of people say that they don't like the quarterback, but at the same time, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of fight for Jaden Daniels here on this one. Jaden Daniels, 32 of 45, 71% accuracy. Yeah, he had a couple throws where he overthrew guys, and he needed to not be so, timid and not hesitate. He needed to just go ahead and let one rip. And we're gonna have to put him in those situations a little bit more, so he's gonna be able to develop that confidence and just develop that chemistry with those guys. But all in all, he hit 300 passing yards, averaged 9.4 yards per completion, but he did have his first interception. Now that can come with being more aggressive, like we were talking about in the pregame show, and that can come with an increased amount of passes that he hasn't seen prior. For only throwing one pick, I'm not going to sit here and harp on them. They were pushing the pace hard. It was the end of the game. I don't think it really is a nail in his coffin by any means. Brian Kelly spoke after the game in the press conference, talking about Jaden Daniels and talking about the situation, and pretty much said that he's going to trust Jaden Daniels. He's going to let it ride with him. He's not considering getting another quarterback in there behind center because he thought that the quarterback was the better part of the night. And I can agree with him to that to an extent because I feel like Jaden Daniels keeps the offensive alive. Jaden Daniels keeps the play alive. I really like his play style. I just think um, the best part of the offense needs to be the tempo and the pushing the pace and the either running the ball down the field, getting big man runs like John Emery was doing in Auburn, or let's let Keyshawn Boutte go on a 25-yard post or a 25-yard corner. Let's take some more shots. I think that LSU needs to really harp on that wide receiver room and really try to get them active. And I think you do that through just giving them shots, giving them looks, getting them active, seeing what they can come down with. Yeah, you throw it to them every now and then and they drop it, or Keyshawn's had a rough spell. He finally got in the end zone this past Saturday, but it was right before he had dropped a pass. Florida State, he had dropped a couple touchdown looks. It could just be they don't have that connection set with Jaden Daniels. I mean, this team is new. It's kind of hard for LSU fans to picture a rebuild, especially only a couple years removed from one of the greatest seasons in college football history. So I can definitely see where the frustration is coming, and I can definitely see where everyone wants pace to be picked up a lot higher, especially with Brian Kelly. He's got the most wins out of any active FBS coach. So there's a lot to be expected from him. But at the same time, I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm impressed that we're 2-1 right now in SEC play. I'm impressed that we have already entered the AP top 25. Of course, we got out of it, but I'm impressed that it's already happened at this point. I think that it's exceeding my standards on how fast the development's coming. Yeah, I want to see the offensive line get better. Yeah, I want to see Jaden Daniels trust his arm more. Yeah, I want to see the offense dial some plays up and get some guys going down the field. But at the same time, we just got to trust the process. It's hard to do it in games like this, and it's hard to do it when you have times where you want to see guys get active that aren't getting active. A big guy that I've been seeing, not getting his fair share of targets. I feel like he deserves is Jack Best. He only got 2 targets all day Saturday. I'll talk about that special teams hiccup for a second, but the way I look at it is Jack Best is just starting to become a returner. He's just getting active in there, and Brian Kelly spoke about it. I asked Brian Kelly how he graded his performance after his first time being the return man, and he said he liked the way that he was aggressive, and they're just gonna have to kind of work on dialing it back and adjusting and reading in that situation. Maybe he was just putting a little more thought into it, and maybe some things happened, and it was just a small little hiccup. I highly doubt, knowing Jack so well, I highly doubt that that's going to happen again. Put on an incredible freshman campaign. He's contributed majorly during camp and in building chemistry. I mean, this is one of the most charismatic and energetic guys in that locker room. I think that Jack Bech is a playmaker. He's a big time guy. He's a big target, hard to get down. I don't see why you wouldn't throw him 3 or 4 of those 6 targets that you're throwing to a variety of other guys. Even at times, there's times where Mason Taylor is getting 6 to 8 targets. A couple of them are hitting him off the gloves, hitting him off the chest. I feel like moments like that, we could trust 80 to bring him in, bring him down. But how about credit to the guys who did get active once again? Yeah, Keyshawn Boutte, 6 receptions, got his first touchdown. Pretty impressed with that. Malik Neighbors still going crazy with the 6 receptions, 80 yards. What a year Malik Neighbors is having. I mean, he's coming out of here blowing the lid off of the expectations that people had set on him. He's leading us in receiving yards and completions or excuse me, receptions. And credit to Malik for being able to do that on the field and being able to take care of business off the field. He was named the Student Athlete of the Week for LSU. Very talented athlete, and he's helping us through a pretty rough spell. Also, Brian Thomas, 5 targets, 5 catches. He came down with every single one that Jaden Daniels put up for him, and that's how you become Mr. Reliable. Also, Kyron Lacey showing up with the 4 catches. Kyron Lacey had a little bit of a slower start, but he's starting to get implemented into this and hanging out. I've seen him, whether it be on Snapchat or Instagram. I mean, it's they're both situationally, so I feel like you look to things like that when you're in a situation where you're looking for more chemistry to be developed. Speaking of momentum swings, but LSU should be able to bounce back and redeem themselves after the first play of the game. There was a lot of other mistakes. The offensive line was probably going to be my biggest, and it's been It's been the more probable one. We've got younger guys getting implemented. We've got guys doing position changes. It's just a lot of figuring out. I hope Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly are going to be able to that we're going to be manhandled like that again. I think that that's going to be a one-time thing. Hopefully when Alabama comes into Tiger Stadium on November 5th, it's going to be a whole lot different. Tennessee got the best of us, but at the same time, it's a top 10 team. But, credit to Tennessee. They rather early after the game seemed to be pretty unfortunate ending, but it seemed like, they had really came to play. But all in all, LSU needs to tune some things up and they need to find guys bought into the scheme and get these guys comfortable as well. Right now, it's a little uncomfortable. Um, but there's value. There's value in what happened Saturday. There's value in the fact that we're seeing progress in the passing game. I mean, everyone's saying we want Jaden to pass, we want Jaden to pass, we want Jaden to pass. Well, look, he threw 70% accuracy, threw over 40 times, over 300 yards. 9 yards per completion. I'll take it. It's a positive. We're getting better. Kayshawn got in the end zone. Like I said, I want to see some guys get active and get incorporated. Are probably scratching their head on what to do, when, and how, and who to put in. The schemes are hard. It's hard to put your guys in the right situation. It's hard to find the right combination of guys to put together on the field and make something happen. But I think we're nearing that part of the season where a new coaching staff and a new group of players are finding each other and they're kind of getting that identity. LSU, has been that's kind of been a topic of discussion around the Tigers lately, finding that identity and the chemistry. It's not going to come quickly. It's not going to be easy, and it's kind of a rebuild. It's it's going to definitely be something to pay attention to. But I think that LSU is going to be able to pull out of it. They're still recruiting really well. They still have a lot of good things going. I trust Brian Kelly. I trust the scheme. He seems to be level headed. I think it's not too I mean, excuse me, it's too early to be raising concerns and going off and sirening the alarms and just overreacting. I don't think Brian Kelly is in danger of losing his job. I don't think we need to change coordinators. I think we just need to let it sit. Let's sit here. Let's regroup. Let's let the experts figure it out. Actually, we got Florida. We got Billy Napier, who was at UL. He knows Kyron Lacy pretty well, and he knows a lot of that Louisiana talent pretty well. I'm sure at UL he's seen his fair share of guys go through. He gave Mason Smith his first offer. So just to name a couple LSU players that he's had interactions with. So maybe the familiarity might pose a problem. It's going to have to be something that's noted. Also, it's another road game. So that communication is going to be put to the test. That perseverance is going to be put to the test. It's going to be a hostile environment. It's a swamp. LSU doesn't do well against Florida at home when Florida is at home. Last year you saw us go into the highest scoring LSU Florida game in the rivalry's history. So no telling what's going to be on the Gators' mind when Anthony Richardson takes the field. Got to see Anthony Richardson at the Manny Passett Academy, and he's another one of those guys who's a big time playmaker, big time player. He could definitely, if he got more comfortable in the pocket as well, he could definitely pose some problems. But Florida's in kind of the same situation as LSU, where they got new coaches and they got new guys, and they're still trying to find that identity, and they're still trying to see if they're going to be able to make some noise here this year, or they're going to have to, go back to the drawing board in the offseason and regroup and recalibrate and hit the weak spots on the team with recruiting hard or the transfer portal. A lot of things are going to change though for the SEC going into next year. You got a lot of interesting teams like Tennessee and A&M making some noise, and in the next couple of years, you'll have Texas and Oklahoma in here. The SEC is going to be looking different. Going to be looking very different. But y'all make sure to follow the Verdin Verdict. We got our links in the bio. We're going to post daily updates to LSU football. We're going to be recapping the press conferences, player interviews on Tuesday, and just different news throughout the week. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream. Make sure to follow, hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. We'll be going live every Sunday night to recap the game. But this Saturday, we'll be going live right before LSU in Florida. I'm going to give you my analysis. I'm going to give you my predictions, and we're just going to sit here and hope for the best. I think LSU's going to be put in another rocky situation on Saturday, but we're just going to have to sit here and see how it plays. Thanks for watching. This has been the Verdin Verdict. Y'all enjoy.